China is continuing their policies of monetary and fiscal stimulus, this time injecting over 1 trillion yuan through open market operations this week, which is a record amount. Just like in Japan, China realizes that whenever money flows out, cheap garbage money must be there to fill its shoes. There is absolutely no shortage of stimulus, so the central banks act immediately. The question is, how long can this game continue? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's look at what China has done. I then want to connect that into so many different things. It's a huge and jam-packed episode today. The unexpectedly sharp onshore cash pinch comes despite the central bank injections of a net 1 trillion yuan, that's $150 billion, through open market operations so far this week, compared with 100 billion yuan injected the week earlier. So we're looking at 10 times the amount there. And you obviously have to realize how huge this is. And I'll get into more on that. I just wanted to note before I forget that open market operations, if you're interested in what that is exactly, I have a video on my eCourse, which you can check out. So look for that. Companies' quarterly payments starting January 16th and seasonal cash demand are the key factors, according to them, draining the money out. That's according to a liquidity trader at a Chinese bank in Shanghai. Some market players said the support by the central bank was barely meeting the increased demand in the market. The market is typically short of liquidity ahead of the lunar year, and the PBOC's injection is not enough. It's never enough. I mean, we've seen that so many times with the ECB. We've seen it with the Federal Reserve. And here they are again saying they need more and more and more. Well, I assure you, there's more to come. Let's continue on the same topic here, the PBOC net liquidity injection and drain. And you can see what has happened over the past few trading days. Obviously, big money going in here at this time. China's benchmark money market rate jumped the most in 2 years, with the record central bank cash injections being overwhelmed by demand before the Lunar New Year. And just like you had seen with in the US stock markets, everything was really boosting up before the New Year here. It's no different than what we had seen in China at this time. So basically, it goes more into that. I would say that my point is made. Let me just segue into this. Security blanketed the United Nations European headquarters on Wednesday to avoid any risk or embarrassment, check this out, of the visiting Chinese president, while police swiftly ended a small pro-Tibetan protest on the square outside. So essentially, he's coming in, the people get pushed out. And this reminds me a lot of those free speech zones. And then you have anywhere that they have a G8 or G20 or any of these supranational entities where they have these big meetings and they just push all the people out. And they made a good point in here at the very bottom. This just happened in Geneva, the city of human rights, in the city of freedom. And this is very shameful. And I do agree with that. What they do, I understand why they do this sometimes, because they realize that there might be some violence or protests or anything, and they don't want that to happen. But ultimately, the truth is that they don't want people to understand what is really going on. Why did the G20, did they start beating people's skulls in? Do they need to do that? No, of course not. But they want people to feel small. That's the point. The governments come in, the big powers that be, they're in, you're out. Let's move on. Chinese authorities have asked an unnamed Chinese province to turn off its early warning alert system for smog to avoid mismatches between environment and meteorological authority forecasts. Okay, let's cut to the chase here. there's so much pollution. I mean, you can watch the video for yourself. I believe it was Beijing that they were showing. And it's so polluted, you can barely see in front of you. And what do? They turn off. No, don't report it. Don't, you know what? We might get mixed up. It might only be 99% of the way towards that warning. We don't want to warn people right now, okay? Let's just turn off that system. I mean, what happened during Fukushima? This was criminal, and it got no attention whatsoever. And still to this day, I'm trying to find a really, really reputable source of this information. But what I have read was that during Fukushima, that radiation was spreading. You get that first, trade winds bringing it along. And they were told and now this is going by memory, but I believe it was Canada, that they were told to turn off their sensors, that there was no cause for concern, that they should just turn off the sensors, don't worry about it. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. If you feel that there is a chance that we could expect that, I mean, they should be on at all times. You don't know what's going on around the world at all times. Natural events that could occur in places that are not monitored. I mean, it's crazy. And so they say turn off that monitoring. I mean, it's so silly. I mean, obviously we got polluted with that. We got poisoned with that. And that's why they didn't want to set off those alarms, because they would have been. And then you look at what happened during 9/11. Yes, the air is safe to breathe. I mean, you knew that was not the case. It's criminal. It's criminal. This is Theresa May talking about the Brexit. All of my friends out there in Britain, in the UK, I'm very happy about what's happening here. You need to continue to speak up and ask that this does continue to go forward. Good for you individuals out there. I really do think this is such a good thing when it does happen. We seek a new and equal partnership between an independent, self-governing, global Britain and our friends and allies in the EU, not the partial membership of the European Union, associate membership of the European Union, or anything that leaves us half in or half out. And I really do like what they're saying. They're not going to, accept something that puts them in another position where they're going to be stuck again. They want to be out, and out, but they want to be able to do trade with everybody. And that's just the way it should be. You don't have to be in the EU. You can still do trade. You can still have agreements with other countries, and it could be stronger than ever. You don't need to use a unified currency. You don't need to have a unified central bank and all this stuff. It doesn't need to happen. We know that. It's pretty simple. Let's look at this. A Pennsylvania mall that was foreclosed on after its owners failed to repay $143 million has been auctioned off for, get this, $100. I mean, it's insane, but that's true. It's $100 for a mall, and previously going for 143. I actually read previously there was some other numbers, 160 million. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What we're seeing here is this mismatch which has occurred. I'm seeing things going for dirt cheap. I'm seeing things going for extremely expensive, the luxury items, whether that would be the $250 million mansions and the luxury cars and all this, and then you see things like this Pennsylvania mall. So such a divide that has really occurred. Starting today, residents and businesses in Redwood City, California and Washington, D.C. can get food delivered right to their doors via robot. And this is something else that I've covered here on the channel before. Basically, robots are replacing a lot of the jobs, and this happens to be just one of those. You're seeing robots taking care of jobs that require quite simple and repetitive tasks. This would obviously be one of them. Individuals have been receiving their food deliveries and doing so in a timely fashion, and it seems like this is the way that it's going. And it's not just there. I believe they also did a test in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. I think I covered it here. And again, I'm seeing robots and automation replacing jobs. You better get a job in robotics or automation. That seems to be the way everything is going today. In the shopping cart of a food stamp household, what do we got on the top of the list? Lots of soda. That's right. So instead of buying actual food, they're buying this, which a bunch of chemicals inside of a bottle, and that's just the way it is. I mean, I'm not judging anybody. All I'm saying is that, you're trying to feed your family with food stamps, and then, soda is being purchased. I don't really see that as making a lot of sense. This right here, Amazon is preparing to test experimental wireless communications technology, including mobile devices and fixed base stations in rural Washington and Seattle. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. These huge companies are so far advanced. I mean, I believe they're in some ways more advanced than governments. Look at what Google was doing with that barge it set up and didn't tell anybody about it. And then it gets revealed later on. But they're seeming to get into these technologies, and they have all sorts of patents and everything else that go far beyond at least what we're told that the government has. I mean, it's crazy. But then again, you realize that corporations like this own and control the government. So I guess it could make sense. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. So head over to Amazon, where they have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.